This is CBS 11 News Now.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us for this News Now digital update. I'm Ken Molestine. A reminder that we are live with you here on Facebook from our Fort Worth studios, and we've got some really interesting that we're going to get into here in a second. But before we do that and start talking about March Madness, we do want to update you on this. Just some amazing images coming out of this chemical plant explosion, Trichem Industries chemical plant. That's out in Crescent in Hood County. We've been following this all day today. This is off State Highway 171. We can tell you now that one missing person, 27-year-old Dylan Mitchell, is a person who's been identified. Two others have been badly injured. There has been an immense emergency response down there to this plant. Fort Worth Fire Department telling us that they sent at least 10 units to assist. We've got our Marianne Martinez working the story. She's going to have a lot more for us coming up at 4 o'clock and throughout our newscasts here on CBS 11. So just a reminder that we're keeping a real close eye on that. And, of course, we're hoping for the best out there as well. I'm sure many of you guys are too. All right, back out here to the studio. I want to welcome a guest chatting with us here on Facebook Live. We've got Pamela Gail Johnson. You are a workplace expert. That's kind of what workplace culture expert. That's kind of what we want to call you here. Pam, you're here because obviously today is day one of March Madness. Things are in full swing right now.
Exactly.
And there's a trend that usually happens right around this time of year on this date, and that is basketball mixes with work, and work mixes with basketball, and it doesn't always end up the most productive way for employers, right?
Well, I think in the short term. I think there's that short-term productivity that may get lost because people are engaged in having fun in March Madness. But I think the question that we need to be asking more as employers is, what's our long-term engagement benefit?
Right.
Because we do know more engaged employees are actually more productive in the long run.
Sure.
And they also are in more profitable business units.
And
so
hey,
bottom line.
We'll be the first to tell you we're all playing the bracket game here at CBS. Of course, the games are airing on CBS, so we're keeping a close eye on this. I want to go over some stats with you, and I know you have some 3 tips that you want to offer employers. But let's go over some stats right now associated with sort of the lack of productivity or what happens during March Madness. If we can get that up on the screen there. So let's just go through this right now. We read this earlier today. They say an average of six work hours for the tournament are devoted during the length of the tournament. So that's 6 hours that I guess an employer loses out of an employee. $4 billion in productivity is what this comes out to. $1.3 billion in wages. 51 million workers in office pools. That's a lot of people.
Well, it is a lot of people, which also, I think actually in 70 million people last year filled out brackets, and they may not have been in the office polls. Maybe that included people not, at work.
Right.
But when you have that many people participating in a cultural event, it's part of our, it's just part of the fabric of America now. March Madness, people get excited about it. Even people who don't play basketball. Yeah. Even when people who are going, well, I think this mascot's cuter, so we'll pick that for our bracket. They're participating, and you're not going to avoid it, so the question is, how do you embrace it? Sure,
well, and I know that specifically here, in Dallas, we've got a lot of the games being played here, the first couple of rounds. So, it gets even more exciting because it's here in your home turf.
It's here in our home turf, and we also have, I think Texas has 4 teams in the bracket.
Right.
As of today.
I'm just pulling up the Facebook here, by the way, because the comments are starting to come in here from folks who are saying hello. Okay, so let's talk then what happens with some of the some of the ways that maybe employers can deal with this and navigate through the next couple of weeks here throughout March. You've got some tips, and the first one that you offered us: set work expectations. What do you mean by that?
Well, okay, for example, today and tomorrow we have games going on in the afternoon.
Right.
So when people get into the office, just remind them, these are the key pieces we really have to accomplish today. These are our key objectives. Because the reality is you're probably going to lose some time in the afternoon. So make sure that your team knows, hey, these pieces really do have to get done. Because they're the keys. Prioritize. If you can move something maybe to next week, try to make sure those expectations, though, are, like I said, people know them versus just assuming you're going to have a complete full work day because you're not.
So just anticipate that that's going to happen and accept it almost. Okay.
Yeah, kind of.
You also talked a little bit about defining how much, maybe setting another sort of maybe a limit, or defining how much celebration is going to take place in the workplace,
We'll
correct?
define how we're going to celebrate it. So again, today and tomorrow, games are going on in the afternoon. So are we going to maybe have breaks where people are actually, standing behind the TV in the break room? Or I heard of a boss who actually bought a new TV for March Madness for their office.
Yeah.
Are we going to, let's define how we do that. So we don't want to ignore the customers. But you also are going to have customers who want to participate.
Okay.
So invite them to participate in your office March Madness when you can. But sort of define how you celebrate it. Do we talk about it the night games in the morning and everybody gets to go update their bracket and say, hey, I'm winning, I'm not winning, I'm crying today, whatever the case is. Give them that time, but kind of make it planned.
In that space of defining celebrations and are we going to take breaks and how we're going to celebrate, if we do it all in the workplace, I also want to ask you, though, because, a lot of people bet money on this stuff. I mean, there's some money going on.
Office pools, yeah.
Office pools, and we can't ignore that. We know that happens, so we can't be oblivious to that or naive that that's going on. But what do you say to employers and what do you say to people in the workplace, to sort of control that? Because that can get out of hand quickly, too, if somebody's upset or if it turns out to be a high-stakes pool.
No, and I think employers have to be careful about being officially involved in a workplace pool. So if you're the manager, you may not want to be leading up that workplace pool.
Yeah.
Your employees are probably going to do it, but in most states, I believe that kind of gambling would be classified as illegal, I think, in all of them. So you want to make sure that your company isn't, sponsoring or participating in an illegal way.
Right.
And as a manager, like I said, you might not want to participate in your team pool and do it with your family or friends or, in other pools because, winning $10 can be fun. But you're right, that is going to happen, but try to make sure the company isn't or the organization's not sanctioning it. But it is fun. Yeah. But there's other things that you can do. You can have prizes that aren't.
Which leads into the third point. If we can get that up there, if we can get that graphic up there one more time there, Stephen, because I want to spell it out for folks. Look at the third one with it. Have fun with it, exclamation point.
Well, exactly. You have to have fun with it because you'll get a long-term benefit from this short-term productivity loss. You'll get a long-term benefit of employee engagement. Like, you can probably be talking to other stations right now at CBS that are celebrating, and sometimes people are talking smack, and it creates dialogue.
Right.
But it's fun when I call you because I need something and I didn't know you prior to this.
Right.
But maybe on Instant Messenger or whatever, we've picked our team and we've been cheering for it, and all of a sudden I know you support XYZ team. I know Miami has a team in. So, like I said, Texas has 4 teams in. So you can, I know you from that. So the next time I call you, I do feel like I know you a little bit.
There you go.
And that certainly helps with productivity in the long run. So if you're not having fun with it.
So it sounds like it can be a real easy way to build camaraderie that might be missing if
well, it is a team building / employee engagement opportunity.
And that backs up into a story that our colleague Gilma Avalos is working on for us today. She actually checked out a business out in Plano who has completely embraced it. The boss says, we're going to play the brackets. We're going to have fun with this. We're not going to ignore it. And I think that's exactly what they're thinking about is that, let's build some camaraderie. Let's create this teamwork atmosphere here. And again, just have fun with it. So she's going to have that story for us again a little later on in our newscast. So yeah,
fun at work is important.
Of course it is. You hear that, everybody? Fun at work is important.
Well, and the millennials are demanding it.
Yeah.
They're demanding as far as a generational group of folks. They're saying, hey, when we go to work, we want it to also be, yes, we want to be productive because that is the type of happiness.
You brought up an interesting point because we also know that millennials, a lot of the stuff that they consume when it comes to March Madness, when it comes to scores, it's on their phones, it's online. How does sort of the advent of technology and where we're at now sort of play into all of this? Because it's no longer just watching, on the television. I mean, someone can be walking in the hallways, and they're up to date with everything that's going on.
Well, it's that part when you have 70 million people plus people filling out brackets. An employer's just not going to stop it, and I think we know if it's in the open, you're going to get more productivity out of people than if they're trying to keep it a secret and hide it.
Sure. Okay.
Because like you said, phones and smart pads and online and
absolutely,
it's more than sending a text.
Everywhere, they're connected everywhere. Okay.
Exactly, we're connected all over.
All right, Pamela. Well, thanks so much for joining us, for sharing some of those tips, and for breaking that down for us. We're going to have a lot of fun at work here in the next the couple of weeks, the rest of the month here throughout March Madness. Hey, let us know, by the way, who you're rooting for. I would be interested to know who you guys all have winning some of these brackets. But for right now, guys, that's going to do it for this CBS 11 News Update, this Digital News Now Update. We're going to see you at 4 o'clock for all of the day's news and weather. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.